Joe has asked me to say something about it, and also he has promised me that he will translate it. Now, public announcement.
Record
he
it.
will translate it into Hungarian and also get it published, which is a very difficult thing to do, but promises, and I will hold him to them. So this was written originally in a form of short stories, as and when I ran into strong experiences which I wanted to record. I also took to writing from the dog's perception, because I felt the dog culture is very, very strong in Hungary, and also you see a lot of dogs in the gardens who actually, if you're passing by, they follow you, barking at you all the way along until they lose sight of you, which is not what happens in Britain. British dogs get hidden away somewhere in the garden, back gardens, not front garden, and they are really not guard dogs, whereas I think in Hungary they are treated as, or brought up as, guard dogs. Maybe Hungarians have more treasures than British people do, but that's what struck me most. So I think the best would be if I just read out to you the topics. There are 25 chapters or sections of the book. Call it non-fiction novel. I don't know what to call it, because it is not a fiction, which is usually the name given to novels. It is non-fiction, but it's also fiction. But most of the time I am making use of real events, which starts with domestication of the animal, which I'm very much against, and that's how the book ends, that the dog seeks his liberation from domestication and walks out of human society. But it talks about the political situation, it talks about communism, after communism, the war which came upon Hungary and all other Eastern European countries in the late 90s, and then liberation into capitalism. Whether you consider that liberation or not, I don't know. So a word first is establishing himself in the tradition of dog telling a story and phenomenology of animals, not just human perception, but animals. He is a mongrel dog, and I name him as Bela. Then the fact of genealogy. What is genealogy of animals? You know, what does it matter to us? And he's supposed to be a gypsy dog, so the gypsies come in. So I've actually, tackled all elements of Hungarian society. A declaration of rights, animal rights. Do they have rights? And if they have rights, what sort of rights do they have? My new home, so dog's new home. I mean, I don't know whether you've read the story Nikki, the dog's tale, Hungarian writer. And this is about 1956. And then there is Kafka's Dog, Investigation of a Dog. There's also Virginia Woolf's Flush, which was written also, but it's not very, strong in the sense. I don't know, I haven't read it. No. I only read those books which are in the course. Otherwise, there are better books to read. So, bedtime stories. He's brought up as a child, and Grandma Nozania tells him stories, which then I turn to puppet theatre to enact the Budapest, the Hungarian history, the Magyars, I forget the names now, and the Turks. Before that, somebody else, and then there is a bit of Indian content, bit of Chinese content. So it's really a hybrid.
That could be the part that you could read.
Okay.
What do you think of this part? Budapest, Hungary, India, and.
Shall I read from the
maybe
book,
would
puppet theatre?
be interesting in a part of the book.
What
that Rani could read?
And his dog, the Indian legend of the dog.
Yeah.
Any page, any part that you would like to...
Okay, shall I just say, she's bringing him up, the Not Anya, as a child, telling stories. So, that's the puppet theatre, she said, pointing to a very big cardboard square under the window. A room within a room. It had curtains and lots of colourful pictures on all sides. You sit here, in front of the stage, from where you can see what's happening. I'll be behind the curtain. This one, she said, going behind the box. So you won't be seeing me. True, I couldn't. This is the dog. So the dog is sitting there as the audience. She came out again to say more. You will hear the music of Bela as background to my history stories. On stage will appear lots of little figures who will act out historical events. I'll show you. She went behind the stage and came out with a cluster of doll-like figures, strings coming out of their arms and heads. I must have shown a blank expression that she said, how the puppets work is like this. I pull the strings to make them turn and twist, sit and stand, and many other things. But they won't be speaking. I will be. The one at the back, from where the puppeteer moves the puppets, will have the topic of the day's lesson. For example, today's lesson is tribes and chieftains. She pointed to the stage curtain. Is that clear? I'm not sure if I took in everything she said, but I gave a snort to say yes, and not knowing how long this thing would go on, stretched out to give myself a relaxed posture for the audio. I was still in the process of arranging myself when the music started, and with a blare, and the curtain went up. So the first is Tribes and Chieftains. A play in 2 acts. The players are Awaz, Kawaz, Arpad, Ishtavan, Elders, and Audience. Voiceover, 4 centuries that she gives the thing. So, Tribes and Chieftains, Awaz. We are the 7 tribes of Awaz, and this is our land, Kawaz. We are the Kawaz, only 3 tribes. Together we can make 10, stronger against invaders. What do you say, Awaz? Yes, good idea, Kawaz. We are all one tribe now, loyal to each other against any outsiders. Agreed? What do we do next? The Romans, Awaz say. The Romans were here for 4 centuries. Do you know why? Kawaz. That was a long time ago. Since then, other tribes must have come. Awaz. They did, but they hardly left a mark behind. Yet the sites of the Romans are still here. You know why? Kawaz. Because they had good leaders. Awaz. Correct. So, to be like the Romans, we must choose a chief who will lead us against other tribes. Kawaz. Good idea. You never know, the Romans may come back, and they will wipe us out in no time. Awaz. So let's choose a leader. Who wants to be the leader? Anyone else? Somebody? Anyone else? What's your name? Arpad. Arpad? Cheers for Arpad, the first leader of the Awaz and the Kawaz. And then it goes on to more history modules and the Turks and a lot more, which I can't remember.
Thank you very much for that. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. It's fantastic to be able to do this.
And as I was listening to this story,